Hi everyone. So my name is Sergio. Let me put up my slide here to show you all. This summer I worked as a product manager and front-end developer at the startup, and I'm excited to tell you all about it. First off, let me just introduce myself. My name is Sergio. I study physics and computer science at Duke as a senior, and yeah, I really love learning about how to build new products, how to build new things that can potentially help people in any way possible. So that is kind of a little bit of what product management is and kind of what I'm really interested in right now. Some other things about me: I'm a David Rubenstein scholar, so I am low income, first generation college student. And yeah, let's get started. So what are product managers or front end developers? Product managers are basically the people that work alongside the engineers, the designers, and the business people on, what are the things that we need to think about when building a new product, right? So a product manager will usually be in charge of a certain product. Let's say the Facebook news feed, meaning like the timeline of like what things happen, right? That could be a product manager, somebody that focuses on that. They're trying to build upon that, maybe improve it. And so they're kind of just in charge in general over that product at Facebook, let's say. And they, talk to the engineers, the people who code the timeline, who code, what gets put on the Facebook news feed. They talk to the designers, how should it look? Why should it look a certain way instead of something else? They talk to the business people and talk about, well, what are we seeing, and kind of how can we make sure that the product can help drive revenue and bring more money. So those are the kinds of things that a product manager thinks about. And so a front end developer is basically the person that, kind of as I mentioned before, that actually codes the things that you see on your screen when you're going through the Facebook news feed, right? So these are the people that can be coding things for like the background color, things like how big a certain button is, how big is the like button, how um, and they are the people that kind of put on what what it looks like when you click a button. Does it pop out a little bit? Those are the types of things that a front end developer thinks about, and a front end developer does. So they are essentially working on what you see when you're looking at Facebook and the Facebook newsfeed. All right, so now that we kind of have that kind of understanding of what a product manager or front end developer is, let's move on to what I did this past summer uh, through the enrichment funding. So I worked at a startup called NextGen HQ, and basically what they were working on this past summer was they were building a new platform. A new platform is their new platform was essentially an ed tech product that demonstrated people what they were trying to teach. So they were trying to teach entrepreneurs. These are people that are trying to build their own businesses or trying to learn about all that. And basically, the product was about building this kind of app, this web app, that showed people how entrepreneurs can get better and win at business and life. That is their motto. And so I worked alongside actually another Rubenstein scholar. His name is Kwan, and I helped him with the design of the gamification. And we, thought about all these different business things, competitive analysis, and yeah. So the gamification is essentially like, how can you make a product more engaging, right? So um, how can you make it so that people want to go back and interact with it, right? And so we created this momentum meter, which was essentially a meter that showed how active you are, if you were progressing towards your goals. And there's also a streak count. So kind of like Duolingo, how in Duolingo you have a streak count of like, you've been using that app 2 days, 3 days for the goal that you really have. And so one of the other things that I worked on was kind of both product management and front end, which was that I created this administrative dashboard. So kind of the behind of the scenes of when somebody types up a little comment, um, that would be shown on the administrative dashboard with some buttons on the side that said, is this comment appropriate? Is it not? And you can either approve or delete it. And yeah, so that was the other project that I worked on this summer, and kind of a lot of other different types of things. So when you work at a startup, the really cool thing about it is you're given a lot of responsibility over things, whether compared to when you're in like a bigger company such as Facebook or Google, you're kind of given just a certain set of tasks and a certain set of things, and it isn't necessarily that much responsibility over the product as a whole. And so that was one of the cool things as well, that I got to learn a lot on the spot. And that's something I would recommend for like as a summer internship is using your Duke connections for that. So let me go on to kind of the last part, which is some opportunities and some kind of general advice. So let me start with opportunities to learn more about everything I kind of talked about my experiences. So there's this really great book called Cracking the Product Management Interview. There's another one called Cracking the Software Engineering Interview. And I think they're written by the same people. And basically, they kind of give you an overall look at how everything works. And if you read these books, it can give you really great insight into, what does it take to be a product manager? What does it take to be a software engineer? What does it mean? When you apply to different companies, what should you do? And that's kind of how do you get your foot in the door, right? And another thing as well is you can always look online, and there's a lot of articles on how you can get these types of internships and opportunities for you to grow and learn and think about these different things. So definitely you can use your Duke network for that. There's a lot of Duke alumni that want to help you, that want to see you succeed. So definitely never be afraid to write up a quick little email asking people about their experiences and what they're doing. People would love to help you and love to give you advice and maybe even offer you a job. Who knows? So kind of the next piece of advice is to learn more about software engineering, or just in general tech. I think it'd be a great idea to start early on, finding those Duke clubs or the Duke programs that can teach you how to code, right? Or you can learn how to code while you're working on these projects. And so kind of a great place to start is CS 101 and CS 201 here at Duke. Those are very excellent programs. There's a lot of people that, go to these classes, and they're overall great. And, let's say if maybe you can't do that just yet, you can always look at coding tutorials on YouTube. Those are very helpful. And if you do those, you could put them on your resume, because those are projects that you did and that you'd worked on. So yeah, that's another piece of advice. Watch those coding tutorials, do the same thing, and edit them, make them your own, right? Make them better if you can. And then general advice for anybody, even if you don't want to look at product management or even tech in general, start early, right? So if you're a freshman or sophomore, start now, right? Like go find like, those resume workshops on campus, join any clubs or any things where you can be involved. That looks great even for grad school or any kind of other job opportunity like consulting or investment banking or any of these other types of jobs out there, right? And so, yeah, and if you are eligible, look for the diversity internships or the different conferences available. Those are really great. And if you can talk to, whether it's your scholarship advisors about that, definitely look to that as well. And also, don't be afraid to cold email people. People want to help you. And yeah, so I wish I had learned that when I was, a freshman or sophomore, to start early, to really start exploring, right? So that was kind of the last piece, is just explore. Feel free to do different types of projects. You're still early. You can still, mess up and come back, and you're never too late to do anything, right? Don't think about what everybody else is doing. Focus on you. And yeah, that would be kind of just overall my advice to you, is just make the most of the opportunities you have, and don't be afraid. All right, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to do things. So yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Um, Hope this was interesting. And if you want to learn more, definitely feel free to shoot me an email. I'll write that down on here as well, or put it somewhere. So thank you. Bye bye.